All right. Well, greetings. It's Cheryl Lightshoe. I am so delighted that you're here. Some of you tried to join me in the live webinar, and guess what? The technology just was not on my side today. We've got a thunderstorm coming through. We're probably going to hear thunder and lightning. But you know what? That's the beauty of being a business owner. You just need to be resilient. You need to figure it out. And so I'm now recording the video for the webinar for all of you, and you can watch it in your time. So, but I'm still delighted you're here, and I'm still going to give you some great information in this webinar. So I have 3 goals today. Number 1 is I want to give you actionable steps to move your business to the next level. So I want you to watch for the 1 to 2 action items that you say, yes, this is absolutely what I can implement in my business. And then I want to share with you key information to assist you in the growth of your business. Knowledge is power, and so the more knowledge you can have about what it takes to be a successful solopreneur, the better. And then I'm going to also provide you additional options to help build and grow your business. There was a handout mentioned in the email that I sent regarding this webinar, so you can download that, or just simply have paper and pencil available. Why? Because I want you to watch for those 1 to 2 action items that apply to you. If there are any comments or questions, you can certainly follow up with me afterwards, and I'll give you that information as well. So welcome to the webinar, and let's get started. So you're in the right place if you're a woman-owned small business. And I always like to make sure that you are in the right place, because I want to waste your time if you're not. Here's some interesting information for you, some interesting research. American Express, they have their open division, which focuses on small businesses in particular. And that what they found in their recent research is that 5% of solopreneurs make more than $100,000, and 1% of solopreneurs make more than $400,000. Okay. They also showed that only 1/2 of solopreneurs pay themselves $68,000 or more a year. That's if they're working their business full time. And after 4 years, about 50% of those small solopreneur businesses are gone, right? So 50% remain. So those are some pretty important statistics, because, and I'll talk a little bit in the webinar about why some of that happens and how we can avoid that, so that you can easily be in the 50%, but maybe we can get that number higher to 60 or 70. So you're in the right place. Again, if you're a woman-owned small business, you realize your passion and desire to build and grow your business. You've gone beyond hobby to seriously committing the time, energy, and action to build your business. And you're a learner and doer, because I'm all about learning and taking action. What my successful mentees say is that they want a successful, sustainable business that delivers financial and lifestyle goals that they desire, that they're passionate about the work that they do in serving others, but they want to make sure that they're doing all they need to do to have a successful business. They want the tools to simplify their life and their business. They love to learn from somebody who's successfully been there, done that. And they want that accountability, support, and practical solutions to deliver these results. Okay, so it's important if you are also one of those. So some of you know me and some of you don't, but let me share a bit of information. You know, I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, I'm a wife. I started my business when I had a 4-year-old and a 2-month-old. Talk about crazy. But when I'm not helping small businesses build and grow their business, you're going to find me at the playground with my grandkids, because I'm at the opposite side now of that equation of having small children. I now have those small little grandchildren that I desire and deserve to spend time with. But over the years, I built a successful, sustainable business focusing on the corporate world while raising those children and now enjoying my grandchildren. And I've worked with dozens of other solopreneur women in helping support and grow their business. So why did I choose to start working with women solopreneurs? Well, let's take a step back for a second. In 2013, they just started showing at my door and they're saying help. They said, oh, Cheryl, I'm trying to grow my small business and you look like you've been doing something right over the last several years. You look like kind of a lifestyle that you love. So help. And so I began to listen to that message and I began to help. And in 2013, I was super busy with my consulting business. We had just come off of a recession. Things were regrouping. I was busy traveling, but I was getting really tired of working with dysfunctional companies. And if any of you do that kind of consulting, you know what I mean when I say dysfunctional companies. So it was a time I knew and I wanted to transition to something else. I was being asked to speak about my success as a longtime entrepreneur, and a new door was opening for me. A new mission was evolving. And it just strikes me whenever I tell this story, I can think of a number of examples of other women-owned entrepreneurs who have started in somewhat similar ways. Maybe they didn't have their previous success business before launching into something, but they have had something show up in front of them. I think of a solopreneur I was recently working with, and she had just started her marketing consulting business. She was offering a product. She got a pretty nice contract with a company. And as we were talking through the work she was doing with that company, she said, you know what, here's what I really need to do. I sold them this, but here's what I think they really need. And I said, well, why don't you approach them and see if they'd be willing to let you test what you think they really need. Well, they agreed to do that. And it was so successful that she ended up switching her primary offer for her company to that service and that product. And sometimes I think as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, sometimes we're looking too hard to find what's already right there in our face. And that was the case for me. All of a sudden, I knew I wanted to transition out of some work I was doing, and here came these women-owned solopreneurs. So I remember my family and friends, when I was telling them I was going to do this, they thought I was nuts because, again, I was making good money. I was having kind of the dream consulting business that a lot of people work for, but it wasn't working for me anymore. And that was the key. So even though others were saying, don't do it, right? I remember thinking to myself, well, this is the right next move for me. And I don't care if anyone thinks it's a wise choice. I think this is the next step for me. So the new direction led me to set a new vision for my business, for my life. I set new boundaries in my consulting practice. I started a podcast, and I developed several live mastermind groups for women-owned solopreneurs and small businesses. That mastermind group and podcast led to me writing a book, and some of you may have read my Straight Talk for Smart Business Women, Critical Tools to Build and Grow Your Business. I expanded my focus to digital options to reach more and provide more support to many. And that, again, opened the door for my learning new things. But most importantly for me in my life, it gave me more white space to be with my grandkids. And now I'm going to be launching the Solopreneur Impact Academy, which I'll tell you about more later in this webinar. So most importantly for me, I'm more balanced. I've navigated to the next chapter of my life and my business. I've helped hundreds of women-owned small businesses to take the next step to greater success and sustainability. And I get to enjoy doing what I love to do, which is helping you. So enough about me. Now let's talk about you. So what gets in our way? Well, the biggest myth that solopreneurs have is that they need to work harder to make more money. Okay, let me say that again. The biggest myth that solopreneurs have is that we need to work harder to make more money. The reason we do that is because many of us have come from corporate positions where the message is always you need to work harder, right? You need to work harder to stand out. You need to work harder for productivity. You need to work harder. You need to work harder. You need to work harder. And so when things happen like the cash register is not ringing and we're not bringing money in, we go to working harder because we think that that's the solution. And the reality is we need clarity and focus to work smarter. And that isn't about time, and it isn't about working harder. It's about asking new questions. So the emotions are very real when we get in that spot of uncertainty, frustration, fear. Those are all real. But I want to share with you the common villains that get in our way that lead to us jumping back into that working harder instead of smaller. So villain number one, can't catch up Kathy. Oh my goodness. I just had a mentee that I was working with the other day, and she said, when we started working out, she said, oh my goodness, I can't catch up. The to-do list is too long, and there's just too many things that I have to do. And I don't have money to hire people. I'm doing the best I can. And she said, help me catch up. And I said, well, as a solopreneur, if you think you will ever catch up and have your to-do list completely done, you're fooling yourself. That's a myth. You're not going to. So you need to find a new dream, right? You need to recognize that to-do list is always going to be lingering if you're a solopreneur until you have enough money to hire other people. And even then, the to-do list will be big because you'll always have new things that you want to do. So you have to watch out for those feelings of being defeated, bummed out, useless, unmotivated, rushed. Often that leads to us asking, again, the wrong questions and focusing on the wrong things, and we don't do what is wise. So in one of the emails I sent out about this webinar, I asked people to email me back with the kinds of things that go through their heads. And so this is what it sounds like. Here's some of the feedback that I got from people. You know, to make this a real business, I need to have a partner, okay? Because I can't possibly do it all myself. Another one, I need to spend more, I need to work harder, I need to have more money to invest, okay? Another one, she said, I came out of the corporate world, I was extremely independent and organized in the corporate world, but I found that the structure was motivating, and now I need to think differently to stay organized and accountable. Yes, you absolutely do, because the structure is yours and you need to figure out the structure. So let's talk about what you can do. This is where I want you to be looking for those 1 or 2 action items. The first thing you have to do, you see my step-by-step commitment, it's your timing. Okay, but let me give you a little background before that. You have to focus on what your big goal is. And do you know what that is? Okay, so the big goal might be, I want X number of clients generating X number of revenue by the end of 2019. Okay, that's your big goal. And every action you take needs to be around that big goal. Okay, so for instance, my big goal is launching this Solopreneur Impact Academy, which you're going to hear a lot about. It's really easy for me to get distracted by going off into Facebook. It's really easy for me to get distracted by designing great Canva ads. But the reality is I need to connect with you, right? That's my big goal. Those steps need to be about how can I connect with you so that you can see what it is that I'm launching, and whether it's right for you or maybe you know somebody else that it's right for, you can share it. Actually, I did a Facebook Live on Monday about time accountability and how we need to look at energy producing, money producing, and then just time absorption. Because if you get distracted by just those things that require your time, you're going to get lost and you won't keep focusing on the big goal. So that's important to think about, is that you need to break things down step by step so that you can begin to make slow, steady progress. That's why I said focus and action are the key to success as a solopreneur. What are those steps you need to take? And you need to be committed to those steps. All of those steps fit back to that big goal. So for example, the individual I was talking about earlier who said, Cheryl, help me catch up with my to-do list. What we began to do is break it down into daily actions, three daily actions she could take that would just keep moving the ball forward. And that wasn't design my website. That's too big of an action. You can't get that done in one day. It might be write my introduction for my website. It may be write my introduction for my product. Very clear, step-by-step actions that you can break it down to, so that every day you can identify 3 actions you can take that will get you results and keep the ball moving forward. Now, when you do that, it seems like it's not moving fast enough, and I want it to move faster. This is where commitment comes in. You know, we all need endurance. It's like it's a what do they say? It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? We need the endurance and the strength to stay and keep going. That's about knowledge, about knowing what it is that you need to do. But we also need to be resilient. We need to be flexible to move and pivot versus be in control. And that's one of the things why we oftentimes want to tackle all of that to-do list, is because we want to be in control. Well, when you're a solopreneur, you need to be resilient. You need to be flexible. Just like I had to be today when the audio didn't work in my webinar, that I needed to be flexible to make sure that I could just jump to another option. It also is your timing, and that's important to realize. I have a mug that somebody gave me many years ago saying, I want it all, and I want it now, which is typically me. But it's your timing. It needs to be in alignment with your personal life and your business life, with your values, with your discernment on what makes sense for you. It can't be a comparison with others, because it is your timing. But step by step, you need to make it work. Okay, so hopefully you found 1 or 2 ideas or action items that are going to help you with implementing and getting through that villain of can't catch up Kathy. Because you should feel organized. You should feel inspired. You should feel driven. You should feel relieved that, okay, I've gotten through my 3 things today, and I now feel like I'm in process to build something. Because it's those small actions over time that lead to results. So even the mentee I was talking about that she wanted me to solve her to-do list, well, we've been working together for, I'd say about 6 weeks. And she's been using that 3 things a day strategy. And I can already see when I speak with her, the change in her face, the change in her emotions, and the results that she's getting as a result of that. Some of those things on the to-do list may never get done. And some of those are being pushed aside or being delegated because of the action she's taken. So that's villain number 1. Villain number 2, Imposter Mom. How does this sound to you? So here's some of the feedback I got in my survey question. One person said, well, I'm constantly asking, am I really an expert in this area? Can I provide value to this organization? Are they really want to pay me for this? Okay. Another one said, I feel like I always need to understand my clients better than they do. And that gets in my way because I can't. They understand themselves more than I do. Okay. So the feelings to watch out for here are feeling doubt, inadequacy, you're just not good enough, and unprepared, that you just need to prepare more and more and more. And the more you prepare, the more ready you'll be. Well, that's not the journey of an entrepreneur. The journey of an entrepreneur, of a solopreneur, is that you are always in flux. You are always learning. You are always growing. And that's hard for us high achievers because we never feel like there's enough. We put aside our successes and let the fear take over because it's the next success that makes the difference. It's not the successes that we've had so far, because any moment they're going to discover that you don't know what you're talking about. I use that line all the time when I've been speaking. I've spoken on hundreds of stages. Every time before I get up on that stage, the big voice going through my head is, Cheryl, today they're going to figure out you really don't know what you're talking about. Can you relate? Can you relate? Well, that's the high achiever in me. It's the high achiever in you. We always want to make sure we're accomplishing. But what we don't do is we don't take record of our accomplishments. We don't recognize the milestones. And this is one of the things that I find is really helpful, if you could recognize the milestones. Do you have milestones that will show that you've accomplished that? So remember, I talked about the big goal. and let's say you want X number of clients and X number of revenue by the end of the year. Well, what are those milestones? And that's important to recognize and measure those. Sometimes they're about saying, okay, it's 1 month later, and how many clients do I have and how much revenue do I have? But sometimes those milestones are about what are the steps you're taking to get to those milestones. So if you're only measuring revenue and you're only measuring number of clients, you're not measuring the action steps that are going to get to that, get you to that, right? So maybe it's number of speaking engagements, because speaking engagements bring in clients for you. Maybe it's the number of individual coffees or Zoom meetings that you have. How many of those are you doing? Because those are the activities that help you reach the milestones. Okay, so what are you measuring? And then do you have a resiliency plan? Remember what I talked about? Resiliency is flexibility. Resiliency is being able to move and shift based on whatever's happened. So a resiliency plan should be, if things don't work in this, when am I going to step back to evaluate what's working and evaluate what's not working? And how do I do that? That's one of the things that I have always found when I've had a coach or a mentor, and one of the things that I always build into when I coach and mentor with others is time to step back and say what's working, what's not, so you can adjust and move forward with more wisdom. So how you should feel is you should feel assertive. I'm getting my word out there. I'm determined. I'm inspired. I'm reassured. I'm safe. I don't need to be fearful of failing and falling, because guess what? If I do, I learn from that. I recently had another mentee that I'm working with. She's speaking has been her strategy for the year. She's been doing great, except she ended up on one stage and it did not fly. Lots of reasons for that. We reviewed the lots of reasons for that, but it was not, she's still safe, right? She still needs to move forward with her strategy. If you are resilient, you will move forward and you'll learn from both the successes and the challenges. Villain number 3, Perfect Patty. Oh, how does this sound? Here's how the Perfect Patty sounds. You know, I'm almost there, but when I get it right, we'll start. Okay, when I get it all figured out, I'll start. Okay, well, those feelings of uncertainty, of doubt, inadequacy, unprofessional, do I really know as much as my clients, overanalyzing, those are villains to being a solopreneur. One of the things I always talk about is the little girl voice. So there's a little boy voice, but in my case, it's a little girl voice. There's a voice in your head that's a 5-year-old. And whenever we get into uncertainty, doubt, inadequacy, overanalyzing, that voice pops up. And that voice is the 5-year-old who's afraid of the dark. It's not real. It's just a feeling, right? But we tend to believe that voice because as a 60-year-old woman, if I'm hearing that voice, that must be true. And it's not. It's just like the ghost in the closet. When you're 5, it's not really true, but you don't know that when you're 5. When you're 60, as I am, 60 plus, when you're that age, you do know that there's no ghost in the closet. You do have proof and evidence that there's no ghost in the closet. You do have proof and evidence that you succeed and can make things work. But we sometimes don't let that adult voice help soothe our little girl voice. And that's what you need to do, because there's actions. There's things you know this. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to get going. There are things what's perfect anyway? You know, who judges what's perfect? Is it perfect for you and your model and perfect for your offers? Then great. And again, what is perfect anyway? You need to research, and this is where you learn as you go. You can research certain things, but certain research comes from experience. As you try out things, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It's a story that I told in the beginning, where the marketing person had a product. She thought this was going to work. She had done her research. She got into a company doing the work and realized it needed to be something slightly different. That research added to her wisdom, which added to her being able to shift her process. And by the way, she's gotten so much work now off of this new process because it's absolutely right on, and the research proved it to be true. You have to take time to review and course correct. One of the chapters, one of the sections in my book is all about leverage and adjust. You're going to see this is also a section in my Solopreneur Impact Academy. What does it mean to leverage and adjust? Well, you need to always be learning, and you need to always be wise as you take action, but we can't control what happens. I'm a firstborn. I do like being in control, and I have had to learn that I cannot be in control. So part of being perfect Patty is trying to be in control of everything, but being an entrepreneur is the quickest way to break that, because you can't be in control. You need to have a little bit of faith along the way. I'll talk about that in just a second. So how you should feel is you should feel interested, inspired, confident, thoughtful. You should feel professional. And professionals don't have all the answers. Professionals know how to take the information that they're getting, evaluate it, and be able to shift moving forward. So, all right, so again, I want to make sure that you have identified one or two key strategies and action steps that you can take to address those villains, those three villains. And those are the most popular villains I find that need to be conquered when I work with solopreneurs. So I promised you other options to help build and grow your business. I hope you'll stick with me here as I want to tell you about the Solopreneur Impact Academy. There's no sales pitch here. I just want you to have knowledge and information that might be useful. I know you'll also find that as I talk about this structure that you will identify again other action steps for yourself. So whether you are interested in this academy or whether you just want to look at the process, that's completely okay. Because what I've done is I've outlined what I consider the success path for solopreneurs. And today, I'm actually launching a silent launch of the Solopreneur Impact Academy. I'm going to be, I've outlined it, and there's going to be some special information for you, so hang in here. But we know that the predictor of success as an entrepreneur is your history of success as an entrepreneur, okay? Well, if you're a new entrepreneur, you may not have that history of success. Or if you have already had some successful businesses, which I know some of you on this webinar have, how do you capitalize on what you already know? Okay, but if you don't have that, well, the greatest way to get that information is from having a mentor who's been there, done that. It shortens your learning curve. You can troubleshoot. You can course correct. For example, a entrepreneur that I was working with, she actually works in the corporate world, is looking at launching into her own thing. One of her strategies is to do some interviews with her current clients, which is a great idea, and write some blog posts. She has 500 names on this list. And we were meeting last week, and she said, okay, I just can't get to this because I need to send out these 500 emails. And I said, wait, whoa, you're going to send out 500 emails? What happens if, let's say, 20% of those folks say yes, they will be involved in an interview with you? That's 100 people. Are you going to be able to get those interviews and blog posts done in a timely manner? And she looked at me as like a deer in the headlights, and I said, okay, so that 20% is probably reasonable. What happens if 50%? And she goes, oh my, so you mean I don't need to send all of them out all at once? All right, this is where a mentor who's been there, done that, can help course correct. She actually sent out 3 emails. She got, within the hour, she had 2 come back and say yes, and she was waiting for the 3rd one. She emailed me that after our meeting. Well, 2 of them is going to fill a month for her because that's also the time she has. So that's what it is when you have a mentor who has been there, done that they can truly help course correct you. So why did I create the Solopreneur Impact Academy? Well, I mentioned that people were showing up, and I can't address all of their needs. I'm at that time in my life when I don't want to have an expanding, growing practice, but I do want to continue to serve people on a big level. I want to be able to pass along my knowledge, and I'm committed to the growth of women-owned small solopreneurs. I also realize that as a solopreneur, you don't have a lot of time and you don't have a lot of money. So I wanted to create a program that was realistic to those two issues. So it's affordable to you and it's easy for you to bite off a little piece every week. You're going to see that when I talk about the structure of this. So here is the here's the success path. Now I don't have all the details here because this is going to be a year-long program. Okay, it's much like an academic effort. You know, my goal is to have you become a master solopreneur and give you all the tools and perspectives so that you can be a master solopreneur. Yeah, I can't give you all the details in 52 weeks, but I did want to show you that there is a plan. There will be milestones along the way and actions, and I will be working with you to monitor that progress and course correct as needed, okay? What I can tell you is that this is a proven process used by many. If you've read my book, The Straight Talk for Smart Business Women, you recognize the three categories, the CALM categories, because this is the format that I have in my book. What's going to happen in the Solopreneur Impact Academy is that we're going to really go deep every week in a time-limited amount of time to help you build on another tool, okay? It's not a quick fix. It's a mastery process so that you can teach and apply, so I can teach it you, and you can apply all aspects to becoming a master solopreneur. The key here is consistency, focus, and action. Those are the foundations. So you might have registered for some of my other courses. Maybe you've finished them, maybe you've not. Or maybe you've signed up for other courses with other mentors out there, and great. But I don't know about you. Sometimes I'm given too much information. It results in overwhelm. They're not realistic for what I do as a solopreneur. And so what I've tried to do is design a process to maximize the 1 hour of your time every week for me to be there as a mentor, a guide, an accountability partner, and give you information that you need to be successful, okay? If you're already on track, that's great. Then the weekly lessons are going to be a validation. And there's nothing better than validation to say I'm absolutely on the right track. I find, however, for myself, when I go back and revisit these different areas, and by the way, I go back and revisit these areas on a regular basis, every time I do, I'm able to tweak and strengthen the areas that I already have as foundations in place. So it's meant to validate, it's meant to strengthen the foundations you already have, or if you're just starting out, it's meant to build the foundations. We are not going to be in a comparison in this academy. This is a one-on-one journey, sort of like golf. We're going to golf together, but your score is yours, and how you hit the hole and what you do with the targets is completely up to you. It will be strongly based on knowledge delivered online with a high-touch aspect for me of an email coaching and interaction process. I'm limiting the number of people that I'm going to be taking into this academy because I want to be there and I want to be able to respond to your needs. So that's the high-level overview. Let me tell you some more information. But I have to share with you some quotes from some of the entrepreneurs. These are entrepreneurs who are part of my podcast and part of my book. And I love this quote from Julie Danskin: "Being an entrepreneur is a total faith walk." So yeah, it is. You can have knowledge and tools, but it's operating from your knowledge, your expertise, and your faith that makes it work. Joan Gillis, she talked about, I love this equation, perspective plus experience plus knowledge equals resilience. Well, when I designed the Solopreneur Impact Academy, this is the formula I had in mind. So perspective is the weekly materials that you'll get. Experience is your experience and mine experience, and the knowledge is your experience, your knowledge, my knowledge, all combined together to give you that resiliency, that flexibility to leverage, adjust, and achieve the results you want for your business. Tara is so brilliant. You know, she talks about we as women keep ourselves small versus seeing the impact we make in the world. One of the feedback that I had from that survey that I did was The person said, you know, because here's my limiting mindset. I believe because I'm solo, I am small, my volume, my clients, my projects, my fees should be small as well. You know, small is relative, but impact is powerful. And that's what I want you to have, is the impact, and for you to get to the results that you deserve and that you desire. So what will it look like? Well, I've already identified some of that. There'll be a knowledge component, which is weekly materials designed to validate, expand, polish, or enhance your business results and your solopreneur mastery. We're going to have connection and support from me. So throughout the academy, there will be requests for you to provide me with information on where you are with your efforts. But I will provide immediately and impactful feedback to support you. But I'll also be available to you via email for any questions you have, any feedback, for as little or as much as you want as part of being enrolled in this academy. Accountability is extremely important. I am building an accountability to avoid your overwhelm and to support your implementation. So your connection and feedback with me will keep the momentum going. I'm limiting the number of individuals, as I've said, so I can know and follow your progress, and we'll also be able to measure your progress along the way. You're not going to be compared to anybody else, only your growth, focus, and goals. And then finally, a community component. You know, some of you are looking for community, some of you are not. Some of you want knowledge, some of you want accountability. If you're looking for community, we will have a private Facebook group, and there'll be opportunities to interact within the course room, online course room, as a community. So it does start for 1 year. It starts August 19th, 2019. I'm sorry, it's going to start August 20th. That is a typo. So, and again, every week you're going to get materials, worksheets, audio, video, written materials. Expect about 1 hour per week to complete the learning and the worksheets. Some weeks you might not need that much. Some weeks it might be, okay, I'm just validated, I'm going to tweak this. We're going to do quarterly updates on your goals and measurements of where to next, and we're going to be very clear about those milestones and measurements so that we keep you on track. Again, private Facebook interaction, emails with me. Consider me for 1 year your mentor, cheerleader, guide, coach, and accountability partner. So what's the investment? Well, I'm going to be doing a full launch in late July, August, which means I'm going to be expanding my reach to beyond my database to provide this, to launch the Solopreneur Impact Academy. But remember, my goal is 20 people. So if I get 20 people before that, I won't do the full launch. As what I'm calling my founders, which is, I'm considering you a founder because you're early in the process. It means that you're an early adopter. You're the first to the table for this new academy. I'm going to be offering you a special pricing just for this, for a time limited amount, okay? So you see the price there, $129 per month for 12 months. Or you can do a full pay of $12.90, which gives you 2 months free. And then as a bonus, because you're here on this call and because I want to launch this, the courses aren't going to start till August, so I want to give you something in July. I will give each of those 20 people a 1 hour strategy session in the month of July for all of those who sign up under this particular price. And I charge $3.50 an hour in corporate work, so that's the value of that. But the cart is open now. I'll give you the link to that, but it closes on Monday, July 1st at 5 p.m. Because I'm going to just close it at that point. And then I'm going to start working on my full launch in late July if I don't have 20 people. So what's my goal? My goal is 20 people to mentor for the next year through the Solopreneur Impact Academy. And for 1 year, I want to give you the tools, the accountability, the guidance, so that you can keep moving your business forward. So how to register and take advantage of this offer? Well, solopreneurs.impactacademy.com. There are additional frequently asked questions on that page. You can also email me. I'll give you the email in just a second. So quick recap, I am really committed to helping women-owned solopreneurs build and grow their business. and I will give you everything I have to help that happen. So if you are somebody who likes to learn, who wants to take action, who values a mentor and coach who's been there, done that, and you're ready to take your business to the next level, well, then this is the path for you. The Solo Impact Academy has a success path with clear measurables, clear goals, clear process of what will happen. And the key components of the process are all the things that I've already outlined for you. Weekly lessons, interaction with me, accountability measures, quarterly and annually accountability measures to make sure that you're on track to get the goals that you desire. Again, there's special pricing for being in the Founders Group, and you can register for the soloimpactacademy.com at that link. That registration will go down Monday, July 1st at 5 p.m. And then it will just be a wait list to join in August if I don't fill the 20 people. And that price will then go up to from $129 a month to $179 per month. So if you have questions, email me, Cheryl at theleadershipenergy.com. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your patience with the webinar issues. And again, let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.